Hello, and welcome back to the channel. I'm so glad you're here today. In this space, we focus on making your English learning journey easier, more enjoyable, and more practical for real life. Every lesson is designed to give you simple tips and clear strategies that you can actually use in daily conversations. So in today's video, we're going to dive into some powerful techniques that will not only improve your confidence, but also help you speak more naturally and fluently. Let's get started. Many students tell me they can easily understand English when reading or listening, yet when it's time to speak, their mind freezes and nothing comes out. I often receive countless messages from learners worldwide, and most of them repeat the same concern. They have studied English for years, but cannot express themselves fluently. When the moment arrives to have a conversation, words vanish. Grammar rules disappear. Pronunciation becomes messy, and vocabulary seems to completely vanish down the drain. To go down the drain is an English idiom that means to be wasted or disappear. Sadly, that's what happens to learners' confidence during speaking moments. This lesson is designed especially for you. I want to guide you step by step to overcome these struggles and build stronger fluency and confidence in spoken English. Before we find solutions, we must first understand the root cause of this problem. If we know why it happens, then we can fix it more effectively. So while improving your English speaking, you will also practice listening skills, polish pronunciation, and expand vocabulary. At the end, you can test your understanding. Now let's ask the question, why do so many learners feel capable of understanding English yet unable to speak naturally when it really matters in conversation? The answer lies in the difference between receptive skills and productive skills. Listening and reading are receptive, while speaking and writing require active production of language. Most learners spend hours watching English movies, YouTube videos, or podcasts and reading English books. This is excellent for input, but not enough for speaking fluency. Immersing yourself in English through input helps you grow vocabulary and understand sentence structures. It's a wonderful method, and you should definitely continue using it. However, here's the challenge. Listening and reading do not automatically improve speaking. Speaking requires output, and output demands practice, not just passive learning. Unfortunately, language output opportunities are often harder to find. It's not always easy to travel abroad, meet native speakers, or hire a personal language coach. Because of this, I frequently meet grammar experts. Their knowledge of rules is impressive, sometimes better than native speakers, yet they struggle to say even simple sentences fluently. They know the theory perfectly, but stumble during real-life conversations. That is why today, I want to share 6 practical tips to help you build fluency. The very first tip is free, simple, and surprisingly effective talk to yourself in English. This is something I practiced while learning Spanish. It might feel strange at first, but speaking to yourself really helps. It forces you to use vocabulary-formed sentences and think in English naturally. You can begin immediately. While doing daily activities, narrate them in English. For example, I'm cooking rice. Now I'm washing dishes. I need to finish homework. Most people have an inner voice when they think. Usually, that voice speaks in your native language. Try creating an English version of that inner voice. This way, your mind slowly becomes more comfortable forming English sentences. Over time, you'll notice your fluency growing, and speaking will feel more natural and less stressful. If you cannot create an English inner voice inside your mind, then the next best step is to start speaking out loud. Begin with very simple sentences. For example, I'm watching television, I'm washing the dishes, I'm picking up a plate, I'm scrubbing it with a sponge. You can even add personal thoughts, such as, I hope my family brings home pizza for dinner. These small phrases slowly turn into natural speech practice. Speaking out loud is powerful because it forces you to make new sounds, move your mouth in different ways, and physically experience how words are shaped. If you feel shy, you can still narrate silently in your head. This is especially useful when you are in public places and people are around you. This small adjustment allows you to use English more often throughout your daily routine. It is extremely helpful if you have nobody to practice with. Many learners cannot hire private teachers or travel abroad, so this method becomes a free, practical way to make English part of your everyday life. Now let's add something extra to make this activity even stronger. Combine self-talk with vocabulary building. This is the strategy I personally used. Years ago, in one of my earliest YouTube lessons, I shared how to drastically grow your vocabulary by noticing the words you don't know. Here's how it works. While narrating your day, watch carefully for any word or phrase you realize you cannot express in English. Write it down immediately. In the past, I recommended carrying a small notebook for this. Today with smartphones, it's easier than ever to keep a digital vocabulary diary. You could use your phone's Notes app, a dedicated vocabulary app, or even a smartwatch voice command. Technology makes it almost effortless to record new words. For example, when I was studying Italian, I suddenly realized I didn't know the word for traffic light. At that moment, I used my phone. I simply asked Siri write traffic light in my notes. Instantly, the word was saved. Then I added another step to make sure I reviewed it. I said, "Hey Siri, set a reminder at 6 p.m. to review my new vocabulary." That evening, I got a notification to study those words. This process required almost no effort. I didn't type anything, but every day I collected new vocabulary that was meaningful and connected to my real life. After collecting the words, the next step is to use them actively. Make full sentences out loud. Practice until the new vocabulary feels natural in speech. That's my completely free, super practical way to increase both your English output and your vocabulary at the same time. Now let's move to tip number 2. Tip 2 is talk to a tutor. This step is extremely important because working with a tutor gives you opportunities you simply cannot get by yourself. Why is a tutor more effective than speaking alone or even with another English learner? In my opinion, there are 3 powerful reasons. First, you can guide the conversation. You can tell your tutor which situations you want to practice and recreate past moments when you struggled. Imagine you were at a networking event. Someone asked what you do for work, but you stumbled, felt nervous, and gave an oversimplified, weak explanation. With a tutor, you can rehearse that exact situation until you master it. Next time, you'll answer clearly and confidently without embarrassment. The second reason is corrections. A skilled tutor fully understands English grammar, pronunciation, and vocabulary. They can catch your mistakes and show you how to improve. But here's something important. Don't aim for 100% perfection. The real goal is to speak clearly, naturally, and confidently, not to sound like a grammar robot. Your real aim with a tutor is clarity. You want people to understand you easily. Another benefit is a protected, supportive environment where learning feels safe. In sessions, you can request feedback, make mistakes, and experiment without ridicule or shame. The room is judgment-free, so practice feels lighter, calmer, and more productive. Personal tutors work with learners' mistakes every day. It is literally their job. Because of that experience, they give targeted advice that produces quicker, measurable improvement. Now think back to school. Many of us had teachers we didn't click with. I did some clearly disliked teaching children, and learning suffered because of that tension. Because of memories like that, many students fear choosing the wrong tutor. You're paying so an hour with a poor match can feel like wasted money. Here's a low-risk solution. LanguaTalk, an online tutoring marketplace I liked so much I partnered with them. The platform prioritizes quality and strong matches between teachers and learners. Their screening is strict. Fewer than 10% of applicants are accepted. That means you browse a curated list of experienced professionals, not a random crowd of untested profiles. You can filter by availability, time zone, hourly price, and your goals: career growth, relocation, or exam preparation. So you quickly find teachers whose schedules and focus truly match yours. Every profile includes a short introduction video. Watch how they explain ideas, listen to their accent, and ask yourself whether their teaching style feels comfortable and motivating for you. Most tutors offer a free trial lesson. That single feature nearly eliminates risk you meet speak and check chemistry before paying for full sessions. No awkward buyer's remorse. To make it even easier, there's also a $10 lesson credit available for new learners. It's a small boost that lets you start without worrying about cost. Now let's move to tip 3, which focuses on writing. Writing prepares your mouth and mind for speaking because it organizes ideas before you try to say them aloud. Before an important conversation, write what you want to say. Draft full sentences, refine them, then speak them out loud repeatedly until the rhythm and wording feel natural. Of course, you won't carry a notebook everywhere or script every interaction. Instead, treat this as daily training that strengthens planning clarity and confidence ahead of real conversations. The best approach is to choose scenarios you actually enjoy. Think about hobbies, work tasks, travel plans, or food. Interest sustains attention, and attention turns practice into lasting skill. Also, list the questions you receive often. Where are you from? What do you do? Why are you learning English? Prepare clear answers, then rehearse them until they flow easily. In English, we call this short prepared introduction an elevator pitch. In American English, it's elevator. In British English, you'll hear lift. The meaning, however, is identical. Writing first helps you notice gaps, select better vocabulary, and fix grammar calmly. Then speaking practice builds muscle memory so your ideas surface faster during real conversations. To keep this practical, use digital tools, phone notes, voice memos, or templates you reuse. Short, focused scripts repeated daily will transform hesitation into confident, clear delivery. Do not aim for perfect speeches. Aim for useful sentences you can actually say tomorrow. Prepared lines create momentum, and momentum makes spontaneous speaking easier and more fluent. Time is always limited, so your goal is to share ideas quickly and clearly. That's why it helps to prepare short elevator pitch answers for the questions you hear most often. For example, if someone asks, "Where are you from?" you might say, "Well, you can probably tell I'm not local. I was born in Italy, moved to France at 4, then studied in the US, which explains my slight American accent." Because people will ask this again and again, it's smart to write it down and practice until the rhythm feels natural. Preparation makes your delivery smoother and less stressful. Other frequent ones include, "What do you do for work?" or "How did you learn English?" Start with simple conversation topics like these, then gradually push yourself toward trickier, more challenging questions. This step-by-step increase builds confidence over time. It also keeps you ready for situations where people bring up heavier or more sensitive subjects. Preparation helps you stay calm instead of freezing. Personally, I'm not great at giving strong opinions spontaneously. If I know an event will include debates about controversial topics, I plan short answers in advance. That preparation lowers my anxiety and keeps me composed. In English, you'll often hear the phrase straight off the bat. It means immediately without preparation. Since many of us can't do that, preparation becomes our strongest tool. Here's another tip. Don't just prepare answers for yourself, bring them into tutor sessions. Show your tutor what you've written and ask for feedback. They can polish your grammar tone and phrasing. Many of my students prepare answers to tough personal questions: why they fast during Ramadan, why they wear a hijab, why they're vegan, or why they left their home country. These are deep emotional topics. Writing and refining answers in advance helps them feel proud of their words rather than flustered or defensive. The point is to stay authentic and comfortable while explaining something meaningful. And of course, the number one question is self-introduction. I've even made a whole video about that step-by-step guidance to prepare a confident, fluent introduction. You'll find it linked in the description. Now let's shift to tip number 4, which I repeat often: fluency matters more than perfection. Choose fluency over accuracy every single time. People need to understand you, not grade you as a grammar scholar. That means embracing mistakes. If you avoid speaking because of fear, you cut yourself off from opportunities to grow. No practice means no progress. Mistakes are the very fuel of improvement. Of course, mistakes feel uncomfortable. They can dent confidence and make you want to hide. But stepping outside your comfort zone and daring to speak anyway is one of the fastest paths to fluency. If you're able to develop a sense of humor about it, see mistakes as funny moments, not failures. Laugh with yourself, not at yourself, and conversations become lighter and less intimidating. Some of my best Spanish stories come directly from the silly mistakes I made while learning. Instead of shame, I carry those as fun memories, great anecdotes to share at dinners or with friends. The choice is always yours. Embarrassment or amusement. I chose to laugh, and those moments turned into highlights of my language journey. Mistakes became reminders of progress, not barriers to growth. Not everyone comes to language learning with the same motivation. For me, Spanish was a passion. I enjoyed it, I wanted to learn, and that made the process lighter. But for many people, English feels more like an obligation than a choice. They need it for work, for studies, or simply to move forward in life. When that's the case, I know it's harder to laugh at mistakes. If you don't even want to be learning the language, errors feel heavier. Still try to see each mistake as a learning opportunity rather than a setback. That shift in perspective makes a big difference. The encouraging part is that most English speakers and even other learners are usually willing to help. You just have to ask. Personally, if I talk with a non-native speaker, I don't correct them unless they ask me to. If you do want corrections, you can politely say, "By the way, if I make mistakes, please let me know." This connects back to an earlier point. Always keep a notebook or your phone handy. Write down corrections as soon as you hear them or right after the conversation ends. Reviewing those notes later helps the lesson stick. Now let's move to tip number 5, shadowing. This technique doesn't suit everyone, but when it works, it's powerful. Shadowing means imitating another English speaker. When you're learning new words or watching a video, simply repeat what you hear. Don't overthink grammar or verb tenses. Just echo the rhythm, stress, and sounds. This activates your brain, strengthens your memory for pronunciation, and trains your mouth to move naturally in English. Some of my students even shadow my own videos. They listen closely and try to repeat exactly how I say things, the tone, the pacing, the intonation. It's impressive, and the results are clear. More natural speech patterns and faster listening comprehension. If you're curious, let me know. I'd be happy to create a dedicated lesson on shadowing and guide you through it step by step. If there's no interest, we can leave it aside. Next tip, number 6. Something I ask all my pronunciation students to do: record yourself speaking. Have you ever heard a recording of your own voice and been shocked at how different it sounds? When I was a child, I made my own little radio shows recording onto cassette tapes, then later onto CDs. Every time I was surprised. I thought my voice sounded elegant in my head, but on playback it was far more formal and British than I expected. That disconnect between how you think you sound and how you actually sound is essential to face. At first I cringed at my voice. I found it strange and even embarrassing. But over time, the practice gave me confidence. Now I know exactly what my voice will sound like in recordings. There are no surprises anymore. Sometimes when I review my own videos, I still notice things speaking too fast, being too quiet, or mispronouncing a word without realizing it. But because I record and listen back, I can correct myself and keep improving. Recording yourself is one of the most powerful tools you can use. At first, it helps you get comfortable hearing your own voice in English. Over time, it also highlights specific areas where you can improve. Think of it as a personal benchmark. The way you speak today might actually be the weakest you'll ever sound, because with practice, your English can only get better. Imagine listening back a year from now. You'll probably smile and say, "Wow, I was trying so hard, but look how far I've come." In my pronunciation program, for example, We ask students to read a text filled with many key English sounds and features. They record it at the start, then again after 12 weeks. The difference is often striking. It's easy to improve without realizing it, and recordings let you see just how much progress you've made. So here's a small challenge for you. Actually, 3 steps in one. First, choose a question you're often asked, maybe introducing yourself or explaining your job. Second, record yourself answering it and save that recording somewhere safe. Third, set a reminder for 1 year from today. When that day comes, record yourself answering the same question again. Then compare the 2 versions. You'll be surprised at how much growth you notice. And promise me this, when that year comes, return to this lesson and tell me whether you heard a difference. That way, your learning comes full circle. All right, that's everything for today's video. If you found today's lesson helpful and it gave you something useful for your English journey, don't forget to leave a like so I know you enjoyed it. Make sure to share this video with friends or anyone else who's learning English. It might be the encouragement they need. And of course, subscribe to the channel so you won't miss future lessons. I've got plenty more useful and exciting content coming your way.